Hello everyone, welcome back. Good afternoon, at least for me right now. Hope you all are doing well. So today we're going to be talking about some more advanced Git concepts. You might see these a little bit as you make your way through your time here at Coding Temple, but these are going to be things that you're going to definitely want to know for after you graduate. These are important concepts that are used pretty consistently out there, or at least might be used in your own projects as you kind of develop and work on your own. So I feel it's very important to cover them. You might see some stuff with the branches that we're going to do in the future. You're definitely going to see some stuff with the cloning. That's actually the process that Shay and I use to grade your work and why it's important. And you're going to see some stuff with the .gitignore that's going to be, well, used when you get to some of the later modules or built into some things like React, for example. So with that, let's kind of get started. So I have a file right here, test.py. Let's just make sure this works. So I'm going to add a print hello world. Run. Great. Hello world. This right here works. Wonderful. So now I'm going to put this up onto GitHub. Very simple. Y'all ideally have done this before. So git init to create it. I do have, as y'all can see, an empty repository right here. Git init, git add, git commit -m first commit. Let's grab that remote origin, copy, enter, and git push -u origin main. Now, remember, my default set to main. The regular default for git is set to master. So if you have not changed it or you didn't run the git branch -M main command, instead of main, you probably have master right here. If not master, then more than likely you have main. Just want to let you know. So git push -u origin main. Wonderful. We now have this up on GitHub. There we go. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about today is something called the .gitignore file. What this does is it tells Git to ignore some items. It tells it, hey, whatever this file is right here, we do not want this to go up onto Git or GitHub. The role of this is, for example, if you have some type of password, a token, a link to a database, things you don't want people to have access to. Because don't forget, most of the time your stuff is going to be set to public. Anyone can see this. So you just have to sometimes be careful about what people can see. For example, let's add an if I can spell, secrets.py file. This has got secrets on it. Print all of my secrets are here. All right. Okay, something about this it's not a huge fan of for the name, so I'm actually going to rename this right here. Secrets_1. There we go. Now, what if this has all of my secrets on it, as that print statement so hopefully talks about? What if I don't want this to go up onto Git? This is when you'd use a .gitignore. You would then put secrets, probably good if you spell it correctly, _1.py. What this will do now is, as you can see, this is kind of grayed out. That is because this gitignore is telling Git, hey, ignore this. Hey, I don't want this to go up onto my GitHub. So let's kind of update it now. If I do, let's also add one more thing into here. Print hidden my secrets. Git add, git commit -m hiding secrets. Come on, there we go. And git push -u origin main. And before we do that, you can actually see right here, .gitignore is added in, but secrets_1.py was not. So let me also fix my spelling on this. Git push -u origin main. Enter. All right. Let's take a look at this. Hit refresh. And .gitignore is up. And it's hiding that secrets_1.py file. So that was not put up onto my Git, was not put up onto my GitHub. No one can see it. It's only available here on my local computer. Great. Now, now that you know how to hide files, let's talk about something really important called branches. So the role of a branch is to create essentially a separate safe area for you to be able to mess with new features, refactor code, especially on a big project, without affecting what's on your main or master branch. Like I said before, this is usually used when developing new features, especially in like an open source project, so that you can kind of explore your own path of what might be good to be added here. And thankfully they're not difficult to set up whatsoever. It's actually a very simple command. So let's first start by doing git branch. This is going to tell us all the available branches. As you can see, main is the only available branch. So if I do git checkout -b, and let's call this test. What this is going to do, and if I run git branch, this is going to create a new branch, and it's going to call it test. And that git checkout command puts me in that branch. So if I do git checkout main, it's going to put me within the main branch, git branch. The one that's highlighted, it's got the asterisk next to it. That is the one that I'm currently in. So let's kind of switch that back. Git checkout test. I want to be inside of here. Now, let's say I want to make a change to this. Let's add a for loop. For I in range of 10. Print I. Make sure this works. Great. Let's run through it. So this is a wonderful new feature. You have this great for loop, count to 10 for you. Let's kind of throw it out there. Might be a little experimental, so let's just put it on our own branch for the time being. Easy. So then all you have to do is do git add, git commit -m added new for loop feature. And then do git push -u, don't send this off yet, origin test. First, this test right here will tell you what branch you're making this change to. And then this right here will push it to that branch. So git push -u origin test, because we're in the test branch, will accomplish this. So enter. Great. Now let me pull my GitHub back over. Test has a recent pushes less than a minute ago. And as you can see, let me actually hit refresh. Test. So I can come in here, see that test.py now has a new thing, and it's that for loop. And I can then switch back to my main branch and see test.py does not have that for loop. Hidden my secrets is there instead. So then if I do git branch, let's see, git checkout main, what happens? My code changes back as well. Very, very handy. Incredibly useful, as I'm sure you can see. And you can have as many branches as you want. There might be some limit out there, but if you have that many branches, you might be kind of exploring a little bit too many avenues right now. So I'd recommend kind of merging those branches. That's kind of something else separate, is when you want to bring one branch, you want to incorporate all that code back into your main one, you have to do a merge to kind of merge those branches together. That is for something in the future, though. So this is kind of how you switch between them. Let me actually see exactly what branch I'm on right now. I'm on the main branch. Great. Now, with that out of the way, we're going to now talk about how to clone and how to fork some repositories. So I'm going to pause this real quick, pull something up, and so that way we can I can show you how to do it both those ways. All right, everyone, welcome back. So I have got this little GitHub. Shay's GitHub, to be specific, for a vintage car application. So for this, we're going to talk about cloning, and we're going to talk about forking. So first, let's talk about cloning. So if you ever need to clone a project, so you want to take whatever project is out there and put it on your own computer, what you do is you click on this button right here, and you copy this. That. So now, let's go back over here to VS Code. In fact, let's create a new file. mkdir cloning cd cloning code period to open it up. Exit out of this old one. We don't need that anymore. Alrighty. So now we have this empty folder right here, right? Oh, but we want to put the stuff we want to clone, so Shay's app right here, into this folder. How do we do it? We type out git space clone space paste. So we put in that link that we copied off the GitHub directly into here, and we hit enter. What it's going to do is it's going to then take everything on that GitHub page, and it's going to then clone it and put it onto our own computer right here. Depending on the size, it can take a couple of minutes because sometimes there's just a lot of stuff in there. And usually if it's smaller, it's pretty immediate. It also kind of depends on your own network bandwidth as well. So while this kind of downloads, I'm going to do another quick pause just that way you don't have to wait with me. Alrighty, and about 10 seconds later, it managed to finish. So now, if I type dir into here, we have that vintage. Again, let's pull it right here, vintage. So it's created a folder called vintage, and it put all this stuff inside of it. So if I do then cd vintage, and I type code space period, it should open it up. Great. Here it is. Here's all that code. So now I have all that code that was on that GitHub repository now here under my own computer. With that, though, there is this thing called a hidden.git file, vintage. It's right here. On every repository out there, every time you do git init, it creates this hidden.git file right here. And when you clone something and bring it down onto your computer, it has this hidden.git file here that links all this code back to the original repository that was made. So for example, if I then want to take this, let's say I made some changes to it, and I want to put it back up onto GitHub under my own, what I would do is I would delete this, and I would go back to that git init, git add, git commit, git remote add origin, git push, that entire process again. So, just so you know, if I wanted to take all this code here and want to put it up onto my own GitHub, I would delete this hidden.git file right here, and I would go through that process. That is how that works. Now, another way to go about doing it is to create a fork. So let's exit out of this right here. Let's come back over here to GitHub. So you have Shay's work right here. I want to click on this fork. Fork your own copy of Shay Vintage. So let's click on it. I'm going to call it Vintage. Why change the name? And I'm going to do create fork. And it allows you to copy the branch. There's only a main branch here, so I'm only going to copy the main branch. That's the only one I really want. So let's do it. Create fork. It's going to take a second to grab all of the code off Shay's and then copy it over here onto mine. Beautiful. Here it is. Forked from Shay/vintage. This is now mine/vintage. So now I have access to all the code here, all the README that was done, any specific branch that I was looking for, and it still shows the original owner here is Shay. Plus, if Shay happens to make any changes now to this, let's say they add in some more functionality, I can actually incorporate that functionality directly into here. Rather than if I were to clone it directly from them, I would have to clone it again, put it back onto my computer, move my own changes over, a lot of hassle, right? So now, let's say I want to put this onto my computer. Same exact thing. Come over here, hit click. Let's see, and let's go back. Let's do forking. Create a folder called forking, cd forking. Let's do git clone paste. So now it's coming from my own GitHub. Enter. Oh, and much like before, it's going to take a second to kind of go through and download everything, and I don't want you all to have to waste your valuable time, so I'm going to pause this here for a moment. Alright, good news, it finished downloading. So now we're inside the forking folder. Let's do dir. Let's go into the vintage folder now so we can have access to all the code. dir to C. Here we go. Now let's open this up. Alright, we have access to everything in here. If I open this, forking vintage, see we have a hidden.git folder. The difference is this hidden.git folder is linked to our repository now. Not the Shay's, but to ours. So we can come in here and make some changes. Like let's add in a testing this. Let's add in let's see, you should add in another blueprint here. And just to kind of go and show, let's hop on the routes. Make a route for vintage cars, because why not? Alright, so we made a few changes. We got some new ideas for functionality we want to send up to Shay. So, do new terminal. Let's do git add, git commit, -m functionality for Shay git push -u origin main. Enter. And it all got pushed up nice and easy to donvinolin/vintage.git. So if we come over here and take a look, okay, there we go. As we can see right now, functionality for Shay, a thing we just put up. So let's go to app. Let's see, API, routes.py, make a route for vintage cars. And let's go back to this init.py, testing this, and you should add another blueprint here. So that's how we do that. So today we've gone over the .gitignore, git branch, as well as cloning and forking. These are all things that ideally you should be using a lot in the near future. If you want to try to find ways to incorporate this here into your own code now, that would be great. Get all the practice that you can. If you have any questions about any of this, of course, always feel free to reach out and ask. Then with that, I'll say good luck, have fun. Oh, actually, right before we go, if you want to then submit this back over, you have to create what is called a pull request. That's why it says this branch is 2 commits ahead of Shay. So if I come over here to pull request, I can create a new pull request. And this is outlining all the changes right here that were made. I can click on this create pull request. I can write a title for it. Added some things to it. I can then click on this create pull request, and what this will do is it will send the code that I made over to Shay. It will send it over to their repository and get a chance to take a look at it. They can be like, do I want to incorporate this now into my code here, into my main vintage repository? And if they're like, yes, great. As you can see, it'll be able to be merged automatically. If not, they can say, no, this isn't really for me. I don't really want this, and they can deny it. So that last little bit of roundup. Hope you all have fun out there. Good luck. Happy coding. And like I said, if you have any questions, let us know, all right?